Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now.
Cash now. That's what Americans want. Cash now. Not J.G. Wentworth, which, by the way, when he said that yesterday, Mnuchin, J.G. Wentworth was trending. 877 cash now. Let me tell you what Americans don't want. They don't want cash now. Well, yeah, they do, Chad. Of course they do. But they want to earn it. And secondly, this is most important, and I want everybody to understand this. $1,000 in your hands will placate you for a day or two. Then the realization of not knowing when this thing ends. Not knowing when this thing ends. Not knowing when this thing ends is what's going to drive us all mad. And you're like, well, Chad, that's everything. No, understand. This is different, right? You're telling people, go home, shelter in place. New York, San Francisco, everybody shelter in place. Bigger cities are going to have trouble with this. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a regional thing. Yes, it'll touch the entire nation. It's in every 50 states now. West Virginia's finally got theirs. Congratulations. Welcome to the party. But the reality is bigger cities will have to deal with this in a much different way than even a big city like where I am, Phoenix, 5th largest city in America. Guess what? We've built out, not up. We're not on top of each other. We don't take transportation like that. But Americans want a drop-dead date, if you will, for a lack of a better term. They want that. What's that? A drop-dead date. What do you mean by that? They want to know, and it's hard, what's going on 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, 2 months from now. Mnuchin's talking about 20% unemployment. Let's go back to that again. 20% unemployment. Do you understand that? What does that look like in our world? $1,000? Thank you so much. For somebody like me, I've already said I get $1,000. I'm going to donate it. I go give it to my local food bank. I'm going to donate to somebody I know that is struggling and may need it because they've been furloughed or something like that. Thank you. But what people want to know is, hey, you guys are preventing us from working. Thank you for the $1,000. Get us on unemployment as fast as you can. But that's still not going to be enough because we could be in this position in 2 months. We could be in this position in 3 months. You need to go. And if you're going to take that $1 trillion, this is my advice. Give it to the banks, the mortgage company, the loan companies, so their people continue to go on and work, continue to go on and do all the things they possibly can, and make sure that you tell them, hey, guess what? This is to cover everybody's loan for the next 90 days. This is to cover everybody's loan for your cars for the next 90 days. This is to freeze the credit cards right now, their payments for the next 90 days while this thing sorts itself out. No mortgage, no rent. You get where I'm going with this? That is what people want to hear if you're going to tell them to shelter in place. That's what they do. Because that way they have it go, okay, you know what? I can do this for a month. I can do this for 2 months because I know I'm not going to get an eviction. I know that it's not going to destroy my credit, and somebody's going to come take my car. I know that when all this is said and done, I still have my house and my mortgage and is taken care of. I know that. Placating them with $1,000 for some people, it'll keep some things on. Well, it'll keep the lights on. Most electricity companies, power companies, water companies across the nation are doing what? We're not going to shut anything off at this moment in time. We're not. And people have had stuff turned off are finding that their stuff's getting turned back on. People, if you're going to tell them you've got to do this, then you've got to do it in such a way where they know for at least the next 3 to 6 months that for however long. I mean, this thing goes on for a year. I mean, you're telling people you can't work. Okay, you can't work. Right? You're telling us you got to, hunker down and do the things, which, look, we've got personal responsibilities. We've got freedoms. But when you go and you do this and you tell people these things and you prevent them from earning a living, $1,000 isn't going to go as far as you think. It may buy goodwill for a day. but it's not going to buy peace of mind, which is what people are looking for. They want the certainty of knowing, all right, look, right now, my financial situation is frozen in place. It's not going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Now, when we come out on the other side, not saying that things aren't going to get worse. Not saying that when we eventually emerge from this, that we might look up and say to ourselves, all right, check this out. Right? The economy's really still sluggish. We're going to be struggling here for a little bit. But at that point in time, you're on your own feet. That's what people want to hear. $1,000 sounds exciting for a moment. Then you realize you got $2,000 in bills and you're not working. And while you're getting some unemployment, that's not going to take care of everything in 2 months or 3 months when we're still in an unknown situation. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Last night they voted. Not a shocker.
It looks like, once again, our campaign has had a very good night. We've moved closer to securing the Democratic Party's nomination for president.
Boat raced. Boat race is what we would say in this day and age. Boat raced. Bernie got boat raced. It wasn't even close. It wasn't. Nothing you're going to say about any of this was, first of all, it was not a surprise. He dominated in Arizona. He dominated in Illinois, and what he did to Bernie and what Bernie did to himself. I've said this yesterday. You could have ran a cran yesterday. Any one of you or I could have run yesterday, showed up and said, we're running for the nomination. And Florida was never, ever in play for Bernie Sanders. The fact that he even got any kind of vote was surprising. But no, it was never in play. Well, why is that? Well, I don't know. When you cheer on Castro, well, he didn't. He just talked about the literacy program and some of the other good things that he did along the way. That's it, right? That's, boat raced. So nothing exciting. Bernie is, he's done. We all know that. We knew this. His now is spread the message, spread the message, spread the message. That's what he's going to be about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I mean, every day it's changing. By the time you get off a show, within 5 minutes, it changes here and changes there. And this is a situation where for the foreseeable, weeks and months, and that's what Americans are struggling with at this point in time. It's the how long, right? That's the big thing. You tell Americans 2 weeks. We'll say, okay. But you tell Americans 2 weeks and then we'll revisit it. And they're like, well, wait, what? Yeah, well, we're going to do it for 2 weeks and then we're going to check it out again. I don't. That seems, so it might be more? It could be more. Well, what's more? I don't know. And that's it. It's a situation where it's never ending is what people are feeling now. This dominates everything in every aspect. Nobody cared about voting yesterday. Nobody did, honestly. Would anybody have known there were primaries going on? No, nobody cares. Not at this point in time. They're not. They're concerned about a lot of things. But voting wasn't one of them at this moment in time. So Joe Biden winning yesterday, which was a foregone conclusion. I mean, we called it yesterday morning we knew exactly. Everybody knew what was going to happen. But you look around and you say, what is dominating every aspect of our life right now? A disease, a virus that has come out of nowhere? And the unknown. And as I try to explain to people, the greatest unknown in life is what? Death. What happens after death? That's the greatest unknown. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow with this thing, right? It could show up out of nowhere. We're going to talk about a study and trials that have been done by French doctors that apparently something over the counter right now is essential that people are taking that have 100% success rate. And these are trials that they're saying, hey, you know what? We need to take a closer look at it. And it's been around forever and a day. It's crazy. But there is that unknown. And that's what people are terrified of. And that's why I say, even when they talk of 20% unemployment, I want you guys to understand this. 20% unemployment means 80% of people are employed. 20% unemployment means 80% of us. So 8 out of 10, even if it's 30%, 7 out of 10 of us will still have a job. We'll still be going to work. We'll still be participating in the economy. And we need to look at maybe change some of the aspects of the way that we look at some of these things. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Right now, a lot of people are looking to save money. What do you do to save money? How are you going to go about saving money? Well, one of the things is not a lot of people are going to be buying new cars, right? You're going to be holding on. You think, I may hold on to my car for another year or two. I like it. Well, then get yourself some protection. Car Shield is that protection. Car Shield's amazing. It doesn't matter what kind of, if you have a newer car, you got a car that's a bit older, they've got plans for you starting at $99 a month that will take care of whatever you had. Electronics, transmission, you name it, they'll take care of it. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, and the shop is the shop that you choose, right? So you take it to the person you feel comfortable. Take it back to the dealership. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. It's that simple. Millions of Americans are turning to Car Shield. So should you. With rates as low as $99 a month, you got nothing to lose. Get covered by Car Shield today. 800-CAR-6000. When you call that number, use code Benson, saves you 10%. That's 800-CAR-6000, code Benson. Or visit carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege, please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
The virus is thought to enter in through your nose, mouth, mucous membranes, then attaches to cells in your respiratory tract. The symptoms can range head to toe, from headache, body aches. You could have a mild cough. There can be a fever, or you cannot have a fever, and it could be low grade or high grade. Then you can go on to some more symptoms in the chest, more severe symptoms like chest pain, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing.
So there's that. Dr. Jennifer Ashton right there. It's like it's interesting, right? It's like, all right, you'll have this, and you'll have that, and you'll have this, and you're like, and everybody, it's like going to WebMD, right? And you start checking all the things that you could have. And you have this, and then you got that. Oh my God! And I must have it. You have runny nose, yeah. A little bit of fever, yeah. Do you have a cough, yeah. Do you have this? Do you have that? Well, those are symptoms of also 10 other things. So what is it? That's what people are going to be. And you know what? We're hearing from doctors locally here in Arizona, but elsewhere that are, you're calling and the doctor is listening and says, yeah, it could be it. But at the same time, it might not be it. And we don't really have the testing, and you seem to be pretty healthy. So try to quarantine yourself and stay away from everything as best as possible. Because it's not like you go to the doctors as a treatment. There isn't like, we're going to prescribe you this and away it goes, right? I'm reading about one that these French doctors and Didier Rouleau, or Renault, French biologist, MD, PhD, specializing in infectious disease, thinks that this hydrochloroquine, which is essentially Plaquenil, may be the key to it. It's been around since 1955, treats malaria, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. It's available pretty much at every pharmacy, through prescription. But they've been trying it and testing it in places all over the globe and saying that it works pretty effective. I mean, that's a lot of, it could be something ridiculous. It's like, 20 jumping jacks and 2 aspirins. I know that sounds stupid, but you don't know. They're trying all kinds of things at this point, right? According to what they did in China is they had tried adults 18 to 65 twice a day, 7 days. They took tablets, either 1 to 2, depending on their weight and size. And then they increased it days 3 through 7. And they're coming up with this and saying, look, here's the results. Same thing in South Korea. And they said when they get this thing, I've been reading stuff, looking at some of the stuff for the last 20, 30 minutes, that once this has gone on, that there's no way that the Americans or people around the globe are going to take a look at what they're offering. So you never know, but you don't know. And that's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And when you hear it, well, it could be a fever. It could be a cough. It could be runny nose. It could be, some sort of, something in your chest. So, somebody sneezes. And have you found that lately, too? When you're walking around, somebody sneezes, you're like, oh. And you're like, I've got allergies. Like, do you really? Do you really have allergies? This is why we need to relax, though. We do. I put up a poll question. What's your biggest fear right now? What is your biggest fear? Getting it, losing your job, giving it to someone else, or you don't have worries? 28% say they don't have worries. Giving it to someone else is 24%. And a lot of people I talk to, their biggest fear is they're going to give it to their grandma, their grandpa, their mother, their father, somebody. That's their biggest fear. As far as most people aren't worried about getting it themselves because most people think, well, I'm healthy, I'll survive it. And then losing your job is number one. 44% of people are worried about losing their job or watching the economy crash down. Because at the end of the day, whether you get it or you don't get it, you're going to come out the other side. 99% of us are going to come out the other side. And you're saying to yourself, what's going to be left when I get there? What does that look like? Even if my business survives, when we're finally out of this, is there any business to go back to? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Tom Brady's got a new home. Little news for you there. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is something he has been thinking about for days and for weeks. And I think in his own mind, he's been strategizing, how do I want this to play out? How do I want this to play out when it unfolds and in the future as well? And I think that it was not like he decided upon Tampa Bay today. I think in his mind, when you're going through something, you have to have a decision and an idea of where you're going.
That's Adam Schefter, Shefty, ESPN, talking about, yes, Tom Brady. Big news yesterday. Tom Brady said, I'm done. Goodbye. Thank you guys so much for the 20 years here. But they've moved on from one another. And by they, I mean the big three. Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. And this world of chaos that we find ourselves in, of uncertainty, taking 5 or 10 minutes to go, wow, that's crazy. Returning some normalcy when there is no normalcy. Movie theaters are closed. The way we, used to go see movies, we're not doing that. It used to be, for me, it was a huge respite. On Thursday night, I would go see a movie. And I would go see a movie that usually most people find cheesy. Right? A horror movie, something like that. And I would go see it. And for 2 hours, I didn't have to think about all the craziness and chaos. That's gone. Sports, out of our lives. There's no March Madness, right? There's no NBA. There's no, Major League Baseball's talking June before they start. There's no NHL. The Olympics, you're fooling yourself if this thing is the way that it's supposed to go, that you're going to be inviting the world to your house as you fight off something, and that the world's going to come. So that's going to be either canceled or moved. The Euro Soccer Championships moved to next year. We don't have that. Concerts, comedy clubs, all bars, places that were our respite aren't anymore. Places where we could go and we could unwind and we could talk about. Now it's COVID-19's stopped everything. Kevin Durant's got it, right? You know, it's like, oh my God, Kevin Durant, the basketball player, he's not even playing and he's got it, right? I mean, you start going through all these things, but free agency for the NFL. And the NFL's, by the way, they were expecting God knows how many people in Las Vegas this year. Las Vegas is shut down. Las Vegas is shut down. They were going to have the NFL draft in Las Vegas. They got the Raiders coming to town, and none of that. They're going to do it old school style on Skype or at a table. It's not going to be any, it's subdued to the point of, wow. But having the opportunity, even to escape for 5 or 10 minutes, and we need that. The anxiety that this thing is causing people, the mental health aspect of this is as big as the physical aspect for a lot of people, because that also leads to problems. But Tom Brady yesterday left the Patriots, and it was a respite. It was nice. It was nice being in our skeleton crew over there when it was announced that he was leaving and where he was going, and to hear the buzz from the sports side and people, because it was something that wasn't COVID-19 related. Tom's still going.
The one guarantee that Tom has always told us over the course of this journey, the past 3 years, was the number 45. And he wants to play to 45. And Tampa Bay, we'll see what the contract terms are in terms of years and amounts and all that stuff when it comes out. But I bet you it'll end when he's 45. I know it's very important to him. He wanted that number. Obviously, New England wasn't willing to work out with him in terms of that type of length, probably. So here's what he wanted.
45. He's always said 45. It's always been his gig, 45. He's 2 years away from that. See what it looks like. Is it the money he wants? You know? Probably not. You know? He's given away so much money, but he didn't need the money. And that's, again, they always talked about who was the most important person on the Patriots that was, you know, the fourth most important person. It was his wife, because when your wife's making $30, $40, $50, $60 million a year, you can afford to take a pay cut to keep your team together. But it'll be very interesting to see, because he's going from a world of Patriots are all business 24/7. 24/7. They're all business. They eat, breathe, sleep. That's it. Bruce Arians, the coach of the Bucs, we're here at 6 in the morning, we're gone to 6 at night. If your kid has a Little League game, you better be there or else I'll fire you. Football is not life. Football is what we do. That's going to be interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What's your biggest worry out of all of this? I put a poll up today. 27% of you say, I don't have any worry. 8% say getting it. 27% say giving it to someone else. That's kind of my worry. And I think the more I talk to people, it's giving it to somebody else who's vulnerable. But how would you know? Right? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, this thing can survive for, you're hearing anywhere between 3 to 10 days, depending on the climate. And it can survive, all over in certain places in different ways. And it can even survive in the air. So how would you know? But about 40% of you say the number one worry is your job. And I get that. And while they battle over how to get money this and what are we going to do, one thing's for sure, I don't agree much with what a lot of things Lindsey Graham says, but this was one of the things that he said that I said, I get that.
What people are looking for is stability in their lives in terms of income. I'm not going to give a check on top of a check. If I gave everybody here $1,000, what would you do with it right now? Don't you want to make sure your paycheck is coming? And
he's right. Giving somebody a check placates them for a month and may help them. But it will be temporary. What they want is stability in their lives. See the marketplace going up and down and the wild swings all day, and it's down 3,000 and it's up 1,200, then it's down 1,000, then there's no stability there. People want to know tomorrow. They want to earn their check. right? They don't want it given to them. While this is something that I think that we need to do, what they're looking for in a time like this is, if I can't go to work and I can't pay my bills, and even if I could go to work, you're telling me I can't go to work, then you need to tell my mortgage company and all of my lenders and all the lenders and the people I've borrowed money from that you can't expect me to pay my debt if I'm not allowed to earn. That's what people are looking for. Rather than to give the $1 trillion and hand it out in this way, I'd rather say, all right, here's what we're going to do. Give the money to these lenders so they keep their lights on. But in doing this, they're also going to have a situation where they're going to tell everybody that has borrowed money from them, whether it's a car loan, a student loan, a mortgage payment, and even, yes, go out to people that are, who rent apartments and who are landlords and whatnot, and say there's going to be a 90-day moratorium on this. So people are worried about being evicted. They're worried about whether or not the car's going to get repossessed. They're worried about a lot of things. Let the unemployment handle itself. If people are in short-term unemployment, give people short-term disability, if they, do the things that you need to do so they can at least survive. But having that in the back of their mind, well, I'm not going to get evicted tomorrow. I can go out and I don't have to worry about hiding my car right now. Not that I couldn't make the payments when I was working, because I did, but now I can't make the payments. I'm not going to have to worry that when all is said and done and I get out of this and my credit score drops 1 trillion points, and that's what people are looking for. Because if you're telling them they got to stay indoors, and you are, and this is the best way to defeat this at this moment in time, is for all of us to do the best we can to social distance, to stay as far away from each other as possible, and not to gather in groups of, 10 or more, and all of these things, which is, I get it. But people are looking for a certain amount of stability that they're not going to be able to get with that $1,000 check. Because if there's not a $1,000 check the next month, and for most of you out there, $1,000, if you're home or you're furloughed or you've had your hours cut where, yeah, you know what, instead of paying you for 40 hours, I can pay you for 10, and you're going to have to work from home 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm not going to have work for you outside, that's not going to cut it. That's the issue right now. So people are going to be looking at this saying to themselves, self, what do we do? What do we do? How do we get from point A to point B with as little disruption as far as people worrying about because the disruption's real. It's here. How do we make the landing soft for Americans where they can breathe a little bit? That's what they want. And how do you give Americans $1,000 and hope, what do you think, that you're going to jumpstart the economy? Hong Kong did this. So think about this. Hong Kong's gone through all of this coronavirus stuff. But before that, they had months of unrest, protest, and riots, curfews. They had a huge surplus. They said, we're just going to give everybody like $1,000 or $1,500. But there was nowhere to spend the money. So you can't jumpstart an economy if people can't spend it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. I'll tell you guys something. I love my Raycons, and we're always looking for something, right? Like a lot of you, like I know my mother freaked out yesterday, and my aunt, because California has canceled school essentially for the rest of the year. And I told my aunt, laughing, I said, put on your Raycons and just do your best to listen to your music, breathe, and not hear them. And Raycons are incredible. I love my Raycons. I got into my room late last night, turned on my little streaming service there, flipped on Amazon, was watching a martial arts movie, put on my Raycons, and it was just great. Didn't hear anything, didn't hear any of the noise, tuned everything out. They're the best. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass. The E25s are incredible. And right now, you're out there thinking to yourself, man, Going to have some comforts. This is a comfort that you can afford because it's half the price of all the other earbuds out there. And it's so comfortable, and it's stylish, and it's great because sometimes you do need to drown out the noise. With all that savings, I'm going to save you 15% on top of that right now. How do you do it? You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. And when those kids are screaming and yelling and you put your Raycons in, it's like a whole new world of quietness. buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
I say that, well, he does, Jim Gaffigan, because Hot Pockets. So I keep looking at it. Hot Pockets! It's all that's left at stores. It's crazy, right? Like, we're in the store the other day and just seeing everything's gone, but one thing that will always be there, Hot Pockets! Toilet paper gone, Hot Pockets! Still there. Soup's gone, Hot Pockets! Still there. Producer Anthony couldn't get bananas. Guess what's there? Hot Pockets! Hot Pockets. And the beauty of Hot Pockets is they last for 8 million years, both in your stomach and in the refrigerator. People coming out the other side of this craziness. How'd you survive? Hot Pockets! 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. One of the things that Trump was asked, about this was the seriousness of this, right? Like, because there was this sense that he didn't take it serious. And he said,
"No, I've always viewed it as very serious. There was no difference yesterday from days before. I feel the tone is similar, but some people said it wasn't."
No, you didn't take it as serious as you should have. Right? And America didn't take it as seriously. And that's both sides of the aisle, by the way. They were concerned and worried, but they didn't take it. And that's everybody. Like, not everybody took this serious. And I don't even know how many people out there are taking this virus super serious. They're taking the economy getting crushed very seriously. They're taking the fact that this thing is affecting the old. But the average person isn't taking it that, like, they're freaking out about it. Like that they're going to get it and that they're going to die. No, because they think, well, if my grandma got it, that'd be awful. I wouldn't want to spread it to her. But I'm more worried about my job. And Dana Bash came out yesterday and she said, the way that Trump's been the last week or so, essentially, has been very much the leader that America needs right now. People came out and bashed her, and normally she bashes him. And I think that's very real. He has been much more serious. You can look at him and see that he is. Remember when it first came out? You might get it, might not, might be big, might not be big, probably won't happen, could get it, could be awful, could be horrible. I'm not quite sure. Look over there. What's going to happen? I couldn't tell you. It's going to be great. Best thing ever. Go to work. Don't go to work. Stay home. The messaging is much different now. It is. It is much different now because everybody's feeling it and everybody has anxiety in different ways. Job. Grandma and grandpa are old and I don't want to lose them. Mom and dad are old. I don't want to lose them. You're worried yourself about getting it. The school, and let's not even, schools. Again, California's shut down schools, right? Russia shut down schools. Many schools across the globe aren't going to be coming back. They don't know when they're going to be coming back. So you've got all of these things playing in. But at the end of the day, we just need to take a deep breath. And I do think Trump is taking it much more serious. And I don't think he took it very serious at first. And I think part of that is because Trump is Trump, and I don't know how well he associates human-wise with people and understanding. And are you worried about what are you worried about? Because the economy is more what he's looking at. But yeah, he is taking it more serious. I think a lot of people are taking it more seriously, but for different reasons. But at the end of the day, let's just remember one thing. I'll be here, and so will Hot Pockets. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. We got a poll question up. What's your biggest fear right now? Getting it, losing your job, giving it to someone else, or you don't have any worries? Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. You can tweet at us as well. Love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One day we'll be standing possibly up here. We'll say, well, we won. And we're going to say that. Sure as you're sitting there, we're going to say that. And we're going to win. And I think we're going to win faster than people think, I hope.
One day, maybe it's going to happen. We're going to win. Definitely win. We might lose. It's happening. We don't know. I've always said Trump's best friend and worst enemy would be the economy. That was pre-coronavirus. Nobody saw. This changed everything. Over the last 7 days, I will give it to Trump. The first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where this thing was started to get serious pre-pandemic and then through the early parts of the pandemic, Trump looked very apathetic, didn't look like he cared, didn't take it seriously. The last 7 days, he has been absolutely presidential. He's even stopped a lot of his pettiness. He still throws some stuff out there. He can't help himself. He just can't. He cannot help himself. But it's it is way down. And, both sides are looking at this as how can we use this to our advantage? Let's not pretend. Both sides are, right? You see it all the time. You hear it all the time. You just have to go and look and watch any of these things and see, oh, look at the way that this person's acting. Look at the way look at this, it's a crisis, and this guy's an idiot. He's doing this all wrong and stuff. But even yesterday, Cuomo and Trump, and even Gavin Newsom and Trump, I said, look, you know what? We're all working together here. And that's real. That's absolutely real. They are working together. They're doing a lot of stuff together. And that's what we need to see. So Canada and America have shut down the border. So don't go in and out of Canada or in and out of America. That'll be interesting. Remember when Trump, though, the first thing he did was he shut, we're not going to be flying, China and bringing people home and nobody's going to be going there. Xenophobe! Like Europe's shut down everything. Right? Like, no. Now you should have done this earlier. It's like, that's the politics of it all. We don't need politics right now. We need people to get together and do the things that they need to do government-wise. Because we're going to get ourselves out of this. The government's not going to. But the government is going to make things harder and going to dictate things in certain ways that we're going to have to follow. So we're going to need their help. But when I mean the day-to-day getting out of things, it's us. There's little things that every single one of us can do. Right? Your neighbor. She's older. He's older. Right? Call them on the phone if you've got their number. Text them. Say, is there anything you need? Right? somebody who is down the street, who's sick, struggling with cancer or something like that. It was tough for them to get around now. Now they're terrified. What do you need? Right? Don't be afraid to reach out. The beauty of social media, besides the nightmare we always talk about, is opportunities for us to come together and do the right thing. But then there's the question for the average person every day is, how long? Right? How long is this going to go on? Shelter in place for a lot of people who are in places like San Francisco means, well, I better do something. I mean, you can't stay in the house all day, right? New York, have fun trying to enforce that.
San Francisco's interpretation, these are live pictures coming in of a shelter in place, complete with jogging and cycling, strolling, rollerblading. Look, I'm no medical professional, but I don't know how effective this as a shelter in place could possibly be.
I'm with you on this. Still get the impression, despite what we're hearing from the White House and the distinct change in tone, which has been people in many places aren't taking this seriously. And I think that's a problem.
I think people are taking it seriously. Look, if you have to stay inside all day, you're probably going to go nuts. And it's funny thing is if you were like, hey, you know what, you get a week off and everything's cool, you might go, you know what, I'm going to chill. I'm going to watch Netflix. I'm going to relax. I'm going to take naps and do stuff. But then you're told, you got to stay in place. Then you're like, I need to go outside. Well, like a kid, right? Like, don't touch this donut, cookie, leave it in the jar, whatever it is. If you wouldn't have said anything, now it's like, I have to. But exercise right now, no matter what form you get it, is huge. Part of that is because the mental aspect that we are going through at this moment in time is as important as the physical potential of us getting sick. Because at the end of the day, 99% of us are going to get through this. At the end of the day, we're going to come out the other side. What does it look like? Will the cure be worse than the disease? To our economy? Yeah, it's possible. But what about our psyche? What about the mental health aspect of it that isn't getting talked about, that needs to? The anxiety, the fears, and there is plenty of anxiety right now. And most people have gone to the worst case scenario.
In 35 years of practice, I can say that this is the most anxiety that I have ever seen around the idea of an infectious disease.
Yeah. And a lot of that's because when we've heard about infectious disease before, remember when HIV and AIDS was first discovered, little known about it. Nobody really paid that much attention to it. It hit a subgroup of people, if you will. There's a group, and then there's a subgroup of people, it was a gay community, some drug users, but it wasn't a big community. And then you started to see that, well, you know what? Anybody can get it. And it started to grow a little bit. And then there was certain things that started to happen, and there was anxiety. And a lot of that was because of the unknown, and it can't be stopped, and it's 100% fatal. And there was a lot of different things that went into that. But once we started to know more about it, the anxiety, what happened? It went away. Once we started to figure out we've got all these pills and everything, and these treatments that are now coming in, there were things that started to happen. But it's that unknown thing, right? And this anxiety is very real for people because it's an unknown. And it's not just an unknown of, because we're taking in all aspects of the unknown. Unknown about who's got it, who hasn't got it, have you got it, did you get it, can you pass it on, could you survive this, won't you survive this? That's an unknown. Then you have the unknown of, will I have a job? Won't I have a job? What's going to happen to my house, my car? So there's so many different anxiety levels that go into this that have nothing strictly to do with just whether or not you could or couldn't get sick. Most people take that risk every single day, whether it's the flu or any of these things. But you couple with this with an effect on the economy and everything else, you've got anxiety flying in all over the place. And then you throw in your kids are home, and it's crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. And, of course, Mnuchin and everybody want to do what?
We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now.
Yeah. You know, so they go and everybody's going to get $1,000 or, you know, not everybody. You know, the stimulus bill's it gets out there into the hands of people and they're looking, you know, it'll probably be another couple, I would say a month before it all takes effect. But with all of that being said and done, the anxiety is still going to be there is people aren't going to know if you're going to have that a month from now, right? So you get $1,000 today. And for somebody who is furloughed or has had their hours cut or, you know, maybe even they've been laid off, not like, hey, we're probably not even going to come back after this because of this. You're looking at your situation and going, okay, well, I got 1,000 that can keep some things afloat. But if I can't go look for a job and I'm stuck in the house, this 1,000 isn't paying all my bills. People, that's that other side of anxiety. And the government needs to figure out a better way. You know, great, you're giving $1 trillion stimulus package to, you know, throwing it out there. Could we not have thought about other things that we could have done? Right? Could we not have thought about other ways of going about relieving people's stress? Because when I talk to people, their mortgage, their rent, their car, those are the things that they're looking at. Mortgage, rent, and car. How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay my car payment? How am I going to pay my rent? Because a lot of, you know, you're going to see more and more utility companies and water companies and power companies. They're going to say, you know, while this is going on, we're not going to cut anybody's. I mean, they may be still running, you know, you may be running the power and they may be giving you, they'll tack that on later on, but they're not cutting you off. People want to know that at this moment in time. How am I not going to get evicted? Especially when you're talking about, you know, you hear it all the time, everybody here in America lives paycheck to paycheck minus 1%. Well, that's not true. But whether you make $24,000 a year, $240,000 a year, everybody's going to be facing the same kind of crisis. Because we hear, oh, that guy makes $240,000 a year. Yeah, but that guy is, you know, he's got a family. He has a small business, and that small business may go away. So he or she's going to be in the same boat as a lot of other people. So how do we mitigate that? And that's where the government, I think, should take the money that, you know, they're throwing out there and move it to the loan side of things, to the banks, the lenders, so it allows them to keep their lights on, keep their people employed, and make sure that people out there have 90 days where they don't have to worry about their car payment, their mortgage payment, and their rent. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. We've got a poll question up today. Most of you are worried about your job. What's your biggest worry in today's COVID-19 pandemic? Getting it's only about 8%. But 41% is losing your job. Giving it to someone else is 24%, and 26% says that you don't have any worries. And for some people out there, that's true. They don't have any worries. But a good majority of people are worried about either giving it to somebody or losing their job. Very few people I talk to are worried about whether or not they'd survive it if they got it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Gabby. Gabby. What does Gabby you say to yourself? Right now, you're looking to save money. You're looking around and you're saying, self, I need to save myself some money. Gabby is the insurance shopping comparison engine. It takes about 2 minutes. It takes the entire pain out of shopping for car insurance and homeowners insurance with one swoop. All you do is link your current account information, right? And in 2 minutes, you're going to be able to see quotes from the exact same coverage you currently have. Apples to apples is what Gabby gives you. 40 of the top insurance providers, Travelers, Progressive, Nationwide. They're never going to sell your information. We save big on our car insurance. Homeowners insurance, we're fine. So you think about $825 with the average person saving. If we're going to be all tightening our belts, this is a great way to do something. It's free. Gabi is free to use, Gabi. So never going to sell your info. And so no annoying spam or robocalls. Again, 2 minutes is all it takes. Right now, see how much you can save on your car and homeowners insurance for free. Go to Gabi.com/Benson, Gabi.com/Benson, Gabi.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old intranet. What's trending? I'll give you a hint. Amanda Bynes. Oh, you were going to say coronavirus. No, Amanda Bynes. Man, she was like the it girl. She's going to be the next superstar. Then she went Lindsay Lohan times 50, and she's now pregnant. And I'm assuming she's pregnant with her just now ex-fiancé. But she's trending. Why does it matter? Because it's not the coronavirus. NFL everywhere trending. Free agencies, who's signing where, Tom Brady, Gerald McCoy, Julian Edelman, who's signing. Stimulus check. People are excited about that. What are you going to do with your $1,000? Right? I give you $1,000 today. What do you do with it? You pay your bills? Do you spend it? Do you donate it? Do you stock it away for savings? Do you invest it? Well, why would anybody invest it? Why wouldn't you? Marketplace is ugly. Yeah, it is. But, you know, when what is it? The blood, when the streets run red with blood is the time when millionaires are made. What would you do? Those things are trending on Google. Head over to Twitter. A little bit different. 5.7 earthquake. Salt Lake City. Trending. Trump pandemic. Trump lied to people. Stimulus package 2020. Kathy Griffin is trending because her mother, Maggie, has passed away at age 99. Those things are trending. And a lot of NFL stuff. Which is, you know, as we talked about, it's a good thing that we have some normalcy in our lives, that we have some thing to talk about that has nothing to do with coronavirus, COVID-19, pandemic, stimulus. It's good to have something to look forward to because it's good for your mind. Go online, watch a comedian that you love, right? Go online and watch a damn cat doing something stupid. We're inundated 24/7 with nothing but negative things. And I'm going to tell you guys something else about the media. Negative things will always be front and center. Because it's easier to evoke emotion of fear and worry and dread, and also to get people to pay attention than other things. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't worry. I'm not saying we shouldn't be cautious. But realize there's a reason that they have always said in the media, especially in news, if it bleeds, it leads. Meaning if something crazy has happened, it's going to lead the coverage of news. Because much easier for us to go, ooh, look at that, in a negative story. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For those who are wondering when we return back to normal, this may well be the new normal.
It may well be the new normal. We have cases in the southern hemisphere right now that will tell us how this is going to behave in the summer because they're in their summer months right now. So we might see that seasonal dip that we experience with normal cold and flu, but frankly, we just don't know because we have no pre-existing immunity to this virus. So it could stick around in the summer. The only thing that would give us an advantage in the summer is you have longer daylight hours and the sunlight, and it activates the virus. So that could help us.
This is not the new normal. This is a moment in time. People make it sit, well, this is the new normal. We're going to be living like this for the rest of our lives. We're not. And I'll tell you why. Because every one of you listening right now will do your part to a certain extent. It's like climate change, right? Climate change. Everybody's like, we need to do something that's better for our environment, for the climate. Here's $100. That's my part. I'm not going to stop driving. I'm not going to change any of the way I want to live my life. This is as far as I'm going to go. It's $100. And I'm going to make payments on that. All right. I'm going to give you like $8.70 a month for the next, I'm doing my part. Somebody else could do all the heavy lifting. Every one of us, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love you to text or tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. Or you can text us directly, 323-538-CHAD. Where's your breaking point? Say 2 weeks from now, we're at the point where, New York's shut down. We've got all these big cities are shut down now. And, not everybody's staying indoors all day. Well, I'm not going to work, and I'm going for a jog, so who am I really affecting? And I understand that. They want you to avoid contact. And if you're going for a jog by yourself, like, who's that really? But we're sheltering in place, staying in place, we're doing it, and it's swept the nation. And we look up and we say to ourselves, self? Self? It's only 30,000 people. We've lost some. Thank God it's not 30,000 dead. It feels like it's a bit much. The economy's crushed. I'm, going stir crazy, and I've done everything possible, and I got to get back to work. And I think everybody has this thought in their mind, a drop dead date, for a lack of a better term, where they said, I've had enough. I'm going to test it. Testing meaning I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try to live my life. I'm going to, if you had a small business, like, screw it, I need to reopen. Everybody's going to test something. And whether it's the little deli down the street that right now only lets you have takeout, that one day finally they say, yeah, you know what, my business is crushed. I'm going to roll out the chairs again and get back to some normalcy. Everybody has that. And in a time when we have uncertainty, because I think most people realize, okay, 99% of us not going to die from this. So now what? Right? I mean, is the cure worse than the disease? So if you take away that fear, and people start to realize most of us aren't going to, and there hasn't been the 500,000 overnight that have flooded the hospitals and broke the system. There hasn't been any of those things. So the what now scenario is going to start, and people are going to start to push the boundaries, especially when you're telling everybody, we don't know how long this is going to go. This could be, July, August, could be into next year. No, you tell people May 1st, I think people hunker down and say, you know what, I can do that. You give them a never-ending, open-ended date of not quite sure when, that changes everybody's mind. Because not quite sure when means it could be tomorrow, could be 6 months from now. Even if I survive 6 months from now, which 99% of us will, what does life look like on the other side? 50% unemployment? 60% unemployment? No. Eventually, the natural instincts will kick in for us to go, I've got to do what's right for me and my family. So I'm curious as to what you think. Text the program, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Yesterday, voting was going on. It was very interesting. I mean, we knew what was going to happen. I mean, everybody knew, right? You guys all know. And we know that now that, nobody no longer feeling the burn. Byrne's no longer feeling the burn, and that it's over and done with. And he is, now going to be taking on Trump come November. But what does that look like in November? Right? What? So Bernie's gone. What is, he's done and dusted. What does it look like for Biden and Trump? And I'm talking about the battle that is and the politics of it all. I'm just talking about if we're still at the midst of this craziness. What does that look like? Which I don't think we will be. What does that look like voting wise?
Could this be implemented this year? How quickly could you get all 50 states running an election by vote by mail if this bill passed?
Virtually every state already today has an absentee ballot arrangement. So what Senator Klobuchar and I are doing is making available a significant amount of federal funds for states to move to ensure that this fall, in the middle of the pandemic, American voters are not going to be forced choosing between their health or voting.
Well, we saw people go out yesterday and vote, right? We saw people go out there and vote. Oregon already has, I think it is vote by mail. That's how you do it. So, but there's going to be, first of all, how do you bring everybody together in the political world? Because all of them are going to be saying, well, you're going to be vote harvesting, or you're going to be, somebody's going to say this is how you suppress votes because people don't have addresses. I mean, they're going to figure out a way to fight with each other over this. But I think this is one thing that we need to be wary of. How does this play itself out, right? How do we, see this thing breaking down when you've got people that were out there yesterday voting and a lot of people didn't seem to be too concerned.
They are getting mixed messages because while you have President Trump yesterday and today clearly stating what the CDC is recommending, 15 days of social distancing, avoiding groups, staying 6 feet away from people, staying inside as much as possible. If you're old, especially staying inside as much as possible, not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to nightclubs. All of that is happening. Meanwhile, Arizona, Illinois, Florida had elections today. Yeah. A lot of people thought that was a bad idea.
A lot of people did. But, we voted through wars. Well, it's different. We voted through the Civil War. That really wasn't different because you may be going to vote during the middle of the Civil War and you will have to all stop down and vote right now. I know I was going to shoot you in 10 minutes and you were going to shoot me in 10 minutes, but now we're not going to do that. So we voted in a lot of these things. We'll find a way to do it. The problem isn't going to be whether or not we're capable of doing it. Right? Like, that's not the problem. Much like everything that is a solution in the world that we live in. It's not the solution is real. The problem is the people that have to implement it and or pass it will be a bigger problem. But I don't think we're going to be in that situation because I think what's going to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks is we'll see a peak, we'll see a spike, and it'll be probably decent. And then I think it's going to naturally slow down a little bit. And I think the precautions that we're putting in place, along with the fact that a good majority of people, I think, the spread it's there now. The community spread's there. And I think a lot of people are going to say, okay, it's not coming as bad. We got ourselves worked up for this. And, and this is what I'm hoping. I think when summer comes along, people are going to get back out there in their activity. And by the time that we get through the summertime into that position where we're going to be thinking about, for real, the presidential, Biden versus Trump and the whole 9 yards, this will somewhat have passed. But we don't know if this thing's seasonal. We don't know if they're going to come up with a vaccine. We don't know if they're going to come up with some sort of treatment that mitigates this to the point where it's just nothing. You take this for 7 days, we all move on with life. We don't know what's going to happen between now and then. But I think it will eventually take its natural course, much like the flu, much like H1N1 did, much like a lot of these things do, that it takes its course and then it moves on. But at this point in time, as much as it sounds like that's a no-brainer, why shouldn't we be voting with mail? Well, I think most of us feel that way. And a good majority of us does. Yesterday in Arizona, people went out and voted. But like 80% of it was already done and dusted before they shut the polls down. Why? Because most people voted by mail. but to make it only vote by mail, even if you only said, hey, we're only doing this one time. The politics of it couldn't find a solution, even though the solution's simple. It's right in front of you, right? I've always said this about the Republicans and the Democrats. Milk, the wind could blow over a glass of milk. There could be a napkin and everything you need to clean up and sweep up, even if the glass broke on the fell, and they would sit there and argue over who's got to clean it up, whose fault it was. And all the while that's going on, what happens to the American people? We pick up the broom and the napkin and with towel and we clean everything up and we get on with our lives. And they'll still be arguing about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Stamps.com. Right now, you don't want to be at the post office, but the post office is going. They're working. So what do you have to do? You're a small business, right? You got to run around. And first of all, going there is insane. You got better things to do with your money and your time. Stamps.com is that better thing. Anything that you can do at the post office, you can do at Stamps.com. Their on-demand postage means you can skip the post office altogether. It brings all the U.S. Postal Services. So 24/7, any letter, any package, anytime, anywhere, you can do it right from your computer. Print it out, slap it on, give it to your mail carrier, put it inside a mailbox, and away you go. It is that simple. And with Stamps.com, not only are you saving time, you're also saving money. 5 cents off every first-class stamp, up to 40% off shipping rates. Not to mention, it's a fraction of the cost of those expensive postage meters. You don't have to worry about that. There's no equipment or lease, no long, there's none of those long-term commitments and craziness. It's a no-brainer. Stamps.com is a no-brainer, saving you time and money and hassle. And in this world, that's a beautiful thing. 700,000 small businesses already use Stamps.com. Now's your chance to get a special offer just for being my listener. 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. How do you get it? Go to Stamps.com. You click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Chad. That's Stamps.com. Type in Chad. Stamps.com, CHAD. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Getting along with Democrats, getting along with Republicans, for the Democrats themselves, there's been a lot of spirit. There's been a lot of things happening that I haven't seen happen in the first almost now 3.5 years. It's been very nice to see. That's one of the good things.
Yeah, it is one of the good things. Coming together and putting yourself together and getting along and doing the best thing for people. It's what you should be doing, right? Like all of us. We were just talking off the air. Exercise at this point in time, right, is so important. And I know the time you can't gather in certain areas, and every state's different, right? Every state is different. But what you need to do at this point in time is figure out whether it's a 10-minute walk outdoors, right, by yourself. Well, that's we shouldn't be doing. No, you're by yourself. You're not. Something, push-ups, sit-ups. I mean, doing something in this time, because releasing those endorphins does so much. And I think that people need to realize that now more than ever, it's one of those things where you should be out there working it. You should be doing something a little bit different to get yourself moving, and not just because of the physical aspects and benefits, but because of the mental. When I don't have a chance to go out and run around in between all of my shows and the things I do, it drives me crazy. It does. It absolutely drives me crazy. And after a week or two of being able to do all the things I'm doing, and I started work yesterday at 3:30 in the morning. I didn't leave till 9 o'clock. We covered everything when it came to the primaries, as if anybody really cared. We were supposed to be on until 11, but the coronavirus is the dominant thing. And because yesterday was such an ass whooping that Biden, he boat raced Bernie. So, but I mean, I left my house at 3:30, got into work about 4:15, left at 9, did not leave the building outside of going across the parking lot to the little deli next door and getting an iced tea. Outside, exercise. It's pouring here. I exercise. I'm going to, because I will go nuts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ABC reporter Kaylee Harton talking about what she's gone through.
Last Wednesday, it was just a runny nose. I honestly thought it was allergies. I didn't think of it as anything more than that. I woke up the next morning, just last Thursday, and when you wake up and something's wrong immediately, you just feel it in your body. I've had the feeling before when I've had the flu, or when my body's just broken down, when I've gone too hard and I've been run down. I knew something was off as soon as I woke up, and that's when I started consulting medical professionals.
Yeah. Right. So she woke up, thought, but when she thought she had allergies, this is what happens. Because so many people, we see it's 10,000, it's 12,000. The reality is there's probably been 800,000, 1 million people maybe that have already had it. 80% of people are asymptomatic, meaning they've had it. They showed very little signs of anything. Maybe the runny nose, a sore throat, a dry cough, but it wasn't all together. They didn't feel run down. Maybe they were a little run down, but they're working 12 hours a day, 14 hours, running around with the kids, the whole 9 yards. So it wasn't one of those things where you can't breathe. You got 104-degree temperature. Most people, even people in China and elsewhere, that's what they've went through. And so when you see these numbers, you're like, oh, but how many people have already had it and it's ran its course?
I was fatigued. I was not looking forward to getting out of bed. I had a headache just right between the eyes. I was congested. I had body aches in places that I wasn't used to having them. My lower back was really hurting.
I think that's all of us, right? Like my lower back hurts. Why? Well, because I work out, and 49, I put my body through all kinds of years of sports and doing things I probably shouldn't have done, and playing my, that's everybody, right? Picking up the kids, running around, doing stuff. And as you get older, you still think fatigue. I'm not really fatigued. I was fatigued 4 weeks ago, I was fatigued. And that's why some people have asked me, have you had it? I'm like, I don't know. But, I had a headache, a little bit of a fever, a little bit of a cough, a little bit fatigued for me, still did all my work, never missed a day, and slept for a day and a half over the weekend. And then I was fine. Was it? Don't know. And I think a lot of people out there have already gone, well, I feel like I've already had that. How would you know if it mimics so many things? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now.
They do, Steve Mnuchin. And you guys are going to. Right? That's what's happening. Come together, got everything done. Take a little time to work out the minutia, if you will. And, out goes these checks, but what's on the other end of that? Right? That's what people are asking. What's on the other end of, you're talking 20% unemployment. What's on the other end of that? Because a one-time check for $1,000 for somebody who can't work, who's told to shelter in place, whose rent is $1,000, who has a car payment, and was already in the point where, they were living paycheck to paycheck. They weren't starving. Life wasn't the worst. But this is unprecedented. And then what? You can't go out and find work in some of these areas. Telling you to shelter in place with a never ending. It's an open ended. We'll get back to you in 2 weeks and we'll tell you how things are going. A week ago we were at about 1,000 cases. Now we're at 6,100 cases. But about a 1.6% death rate. The flu is about a 0.01. But that's not taken into account if they're saying that 80% of people who have this or have had this are asymptomatic and will have never been tested for it, and it was so mild they thought it was something else and they moved on with their life. So if that's true, then chances are it's probably more like a 1% or even less than that. South Korea is coming back and saying it's not even 1%. So the flu is 0.01. They're saying their testing is puts it right around 0.07, 06. Still more deadlier than the flu. That means 99.3% of you will survive this instead of 99%. Is that worth everything to stop down? Right? And I think people are going to ask themselves that going forward. When you're talking about 20% unemployment, a devastation in the stock market, industries that are going to be dead for a long time and rebuilt in some other ways, I think people start asking themselves, is this worth it? Well, it's not the flu. No, it's not the flu. In saying that, it's also not the Ebola virus. And I know people ask that question because I'm hearing it more and more. Is that going to be worth it if we come through the other side and say, okay, 4 million Americans got this and we lost 1% of that, so 40,000 people died from this. And then we look and so it's the same kind of numbers for the flu. And at the end of the day, the flu didn't devastate our economy like this. Is that cure going to be worse than the disease? Because there are people asking the question already, and I'm sure every one of you in your mind and your heart is asked that question. Do we essentially put ourselves in, we're in a recession, so do we put ourselves in a depression potentially and sacrifice 2 years, 3 years to potentially build up again, especially when you have a never ending? What if this thing's seasonal? Do we do this again next year? There's all these questions that are being asked as individuals, because as much as you can ask Americans to sacrifice, everybody's willing to make sacrifices, but what's at the end of it? Meaning, you're asking me to sacrifice, but you're asking me in a way where it's like, yeah, sacrifice. Today? Tomorrow? I don't know. Could be 6 days, could be 6 weeks, could be 6 months, could be 6 years. Well, no. You got to tell me. You got to tell. That's what people want. They want certainty in an uncertain time. And no matter how much everybody'd like to get that, you're just not going to.
By making shared sacrifices and temporary changes, we can protect the health of our people and we can protect our economy, because I think our economy will come back very rapidly.
And I think if we get into May, June, and July, and we look up in May, June, and July, and, you know, like I said, we've gone through it and the numbers have skyrocketed, but 80% will never need any treatment whatsoever, right? Outside of, being in your home, try and take care of yourself. And, I'm sure they'll prescribe something or try several different things. So if 80% of us are that, 5 to 10% of us may be hospitalized, and the other ones will have to seek certain kinds of treatments where going into the doctors to get something rather than just doing telemedicine or calling your doctor and getting something prescribed. Is that going to be worth it? That the stock market went from 29,000 down to wherever the floor is going to be. that industries have been destroyed, there are going to be questions and people are going to ask those questions. It sounds horrible because you're dealing with lives and all of these things, but you're going to get this wasn't as big as it was because it's Americans. Our first response, a lot of other countries, their response is a lot of different things. We blame this on the president, a lot of other things, but the reality is our first response in many cases is let's fight. Let's not slow down. Let's not do this. And then you've got something on top of all of that, which is a generational battle. It's a great article today talking about, the generational battle and how hard it is to sell this to the American people. And one of the things that they say in this article, and it's on AP, and it's really interesting. It says, this is great. Contrast that with there's a meme that's popping around everywhere. And they talked about, Bernie talking about we have to act dramatically and boldly. We're at war with the virus. And then the meme that's popping up everywhere says your grandparents were called to war. You're being called to sit on the couch. And there is a generational thing, which is the older generation believes that they should be allowed to make their own decisions and that maybe sheltering in place is a good idea, but for some of them it's not. Well, the younger generation absolutely believes that everybody over 70 should be locked inside their house, and when this is done, they'll be told to come out. So you have a generational battle there. At the end of the day, we're going to get through this. Trump's right. We're going to come out the other side. What does it look like at the other side? Well, if the other side is 6 weeks from now, I think the economy will pick itself back up, and I wouldn't be surprised by first quarter, maybe second quarter next year if all engines are firing. Right? If it's September, October, November, December. Because here's the one thing that people are going to ask themselves, and it's horrible, but I'll say it. People are going to start questioning sooner rather than later if they don't see those death toll fly through the roof. They're going to be like, what the hell are we doing? I'm going back to work. I'm getting out there. I'm living my life. Because that's what we'll do. We'll start asking that question. Well, we're reading on the news and hearing from people that it's going to be 1.5 million people that die, and we're 6 months into this thing, and it's no different than the flu. People are going to go, so we ruined everything. I lost my business. They're going to start asking the question because every American is willing to sacrifice. But I think what they want is we're sacrificing because this thing is not just deadly. It is beyond deadly. And it could destroy the planet. That's what they're listening and looking for. And at the end of this, if we come out of this, and it was the boy who cried wolf, essentially, for a lot of people, people are going to be pissed. They are, especially business owners and people who've lost their livelihoods and have lost everything. I'm telling you, everybody has a breaking point. Everybody's willing to sacrifice, but everybody's sacrifice only goes so far when it starts to impede on their life, their livelihood, and their family's life and livelihood. And for some of you, sanity. My mother yesterday, an aunt, texted me because they're raising 4 boys that are all at home, and 2 of them are who are going to be moving out with me this weekend, because otherwise they're going to go nuts. There's sanity in that too. People running around. I mean, I talked to a bunch of people yesterday in Arizona who are worried not only about the economy, but they're worried about what am I doing with my kids? I've had to take time off work. I'm having, my work's not shut down, but I have nowhere to put my kids because the place they would go is closed down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Meanwhile, Tom Brady got a fat contract. Isn't that awesome? I love that. We're going to talk more about Tom Brady in a little bit. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Lightstream. Some of you out there have got credit cards. You're looking around. You're like, man, I'm paying way too much of this stuff, like 20%. And you've got good credit. That's the other thing. You got good credit. You're like, why am I paying this? Because they rope you in. They give you this great interest rate. And then even if you're on time and they extend your credit limit, they're still going to hit you with that. Guess what? Lightstream's here to help. My friends over there are going to make sure you know how easy it is to lower your interest rate and save with Lightstream. How about this? Credit card consolidation loan. You can get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay, right? Loans from $5,000 to $100,000, absolutely no fee. You can even get your money as early as the same day you apply. Stop paying for that. Save yourself some big money. Take some stress off yourself. Call them today. In fact, better yet, just for doing this, go to lightstream.com/Benson. lightstream.com/Benson. Go there. You're going to get an interest rate discount just for being my listener. Boom. I'm a helper, kids. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter @Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
He's a 53-year-old Kentucky man who tested positive for COVID-19, and authorities say he refused to self-quarantine, so they put sheriff's deputies outside his home. Kentucky's governor says the man's actions leave him no choice. According to the Lexington Herald-Leader, authorities have assigned a law enforcement officer to guard the man's home. He is not being identified at this point. His wife tells the Kentucky Standard that they are complying with the governor's order, but have not had an opportunity to stock up on supplies.
It's a step I hope that I never had to take, but we can't allow one person who we know has this virus to refuse to protect their neighbors.
That's a big step, That's the fear, I mean, you're being asked to shelter in place in New York and San Francisco and do these things. We're asking people, and I always tell everybody, with all of our freedoms comes personal responsibility. All of our freedoms comes a responsibility to our neighbor, to our community. But eventually it gets back down to survival for ourselves. Right? And that alone right there, that's the scary thought process of what happens when and if they decide that they have to do something. Like, you guys don't get it. You're in the house. You're not coming out of the house. You can maybe go in your backyard if you have a backyard, but you are not coming in the house. You can go to get food once a week. You can, and if you come out, we're going to, there's going to be citations. If you test positive and you try to come out, that is the pushback you're going to get for people. I say everybody has a breaking point. And the breaking point isn't, I'm going to go crazy. The breaking point is, maybe for some of it is, I'm going stir crazy. I need to get out of here. And for some people, the breaking point is, I'm waiting for this tsunami of death and destruction. It hasn't come, and my life has not only been put on hold, and for a lot of people, their lives could be potentially financially in ruins, and that doesn't come. They're going to say, screw it. I've had enough. I'm moving on. I'm getting out. I'm doing something else. I don't know when it is for a lot of people, but I do think it is coming. It's just when. Just when. 323-538-2423 @ Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. We'll talk a little football in a little bit. There was some shaking going on in Utah.
There is some visual damage, cracks in brick walls, grocery store shelves, shaken bare with cans of food all over the floor. We have not yet received any word of serious damage or injuries, but there are many stories of people who were asleep when the shaking ripped them out of bed, and then in many areas, the power went out.
Yeah, so 5.7 earthquake, that'll probably be revised as they tend to do, but people were freaking out.
We were just not quite awake, but it shook us and our kids out of bed. It was quite scary, had a few pictures fall down.
I remember in the Northridge quake. So the Northridge quake, for those of you guys who've never been in an earthquake, there's two different types of earthquakes. There is the loud rumbling earthquake that is very violent for a short period of time, and it's usually kind of shallow. Then there's the deep earthquake that starts And that's the one that's dangerous. It doesn't feel as violent as the other one, but because of the swaying. And I remember waking up and I think Northridge quake was like, oh my God, I can't remember. I was home visiting, I think, my family from England. And it was insane because I woke up and I could look into my neighbor's backyard, and the pool in his backyard was just like huge waves. Whoosh, whoosh, because it was that long raw. And for people who've never been in one, it's a trip. And California and certain places, they're built to withstand these. Everything's on rollers. The houses are retrofitted in such a way. But for a lot of other places, they're not. And it's crazy. And it was just so weird. Because that was my first response, right? Like, if you're in California, your first response is, oh my God, let's go see if the neighbor's pool's coming. Well, wait for the earth to open up and swallow you. Nope. I want to see if the neighbor's pool's going to be emptied. And he lost like most of his water. It was insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. See? Plague, locusts, earthquakes, fire. Kids, the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is something he has been thinking about for days and for weeks. And I think in his own mind, he's been strategizing, how do I want this to play out? How do I want this to play out when it unfolds and in the future as well? And I think that it was not like he decided upon Tampa Bay today. I think in his mind, when you're going through something, you have to have a decision and an idea of where you're going.
That's Adam Schefter, Shefty, ESPN, talking about, yes, Tom Brady. Big news yesterday. Tom Brady said, I'm done. Goodbye. Thank you guys so much for the 20 years here. But they've moved on from one another. And by they, I mean the big three. Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. And this world of chaos that we find ourselves in, of uncertainty, taking 5 or 10 minutes to go, wow, that's crazy. Returning some normalcy when there is no normalcy. Movie theaters are closed. The way we, used to go see movies, we're not doing that. It used to be, for me, it was a huge respite. On Thursday night, I would go see a movie. And I would go see a movie that usually most people find cheesy. Right? A horror movie, something like that. And I would go see it. And for 2 hours, I didn't have to think about all the craziness and chaos. That's gone. Sports, out of our lives. There's no March Madness, right? There's no NBA. There's no, Major League Baseball's talking June before they start. There's no NHL. The Olympics, you're fooling yourself if this thing is the way that it's supposed to go, that you're going to be inviting the world to your house as you fight off something, and that the world's going to come. So that's going to be either canceled or moved. The Euro Soccer Championships moved to next year. We don't have that. Concerts, comedy clubs, all bars, places that were our respite aren't anymore. Places where we could go and we could unwind and we could talk about. Now it's COVID-19's stopped everything. Kevin Durant's got it, right? It's like, oh my God, Kevin Durant, the basketball player, he's not even playing and he's got it, right? I mean, you start going through all these things, but free agency for the NFL. And the NFL's, by the way, they were expecting God knows how many people in Las Vegas this year. Las Vegas is shut down. Las Vegas is shut down. They were going to have the NFL draft in Las Vegas. They got the Raiders coming to town, and none of that. They're going to do it old school style on Skype or at a table. It's not going to be it's subdued to the point of, wow. But having the opportunity, even to escape for 5 or 10 minutes, and we need that. Their anxiety, that this thing is causing people. The mental health aspect of this is as big as the physical aspect for a lot of people, because that also leads to problems. But Tom Brady yesterday left the Patriots, and it was a respite. It was nice. It was nice being in our skeleton crew over there when it was announced that he was leaving and where he was going, and to hear the buzz from the sports side and people, because it was something that wasn't COVID-19 related. Tom's still going.
The one guarantee that Tom has always told us over the course of this journey, the past 3 years, was the number 45. And he wants to play to 45. And Tampa Bay, we'll see what the contract terms are in terms of years and amounts and all that stuff when it comes out. But I bet you it'll end when he's 45. I know it's very important to him. He wanted that number. Obviously, New England wasn't willing to work out with him in terms of that type of length, probably. So here's what he wanted.
45. He's always said 45. It's always been his gig, 45. He's 2 years away from that. See what it looks like. Is it the money he wants? Probably not. He's given away so much money, but he didn't need the money. That's again, they always talked about who was the most important person on the Patriots. That was, the fourth most important person. It was his wife, because when your wife's making $30, $40, $50, $60 million a year, you can afford to take a pay cut to keep your team together. But it'll be very interesting to see, because he's going from a world of Patriots are all business 24/7. 24/7. They're all business. They eat, breathe, sleep. That's it. Bruce Arians, the coach of the Bucs, we're here at 6 in the morning, we're gone to 6 at night. If your kid has a Little League game, you better be there or else I'll fire you. Football is not life. Football is what we do. That's going to be interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What's your biggest worry out of all of this? I put a poll up today. 27% of you say, I don't have any worry. 8% say getting it. 27% say giving it to someone else. That's kind of my worry. And I think the more I talk to people, it's giving it to somebody else who's vulnerable. But how would you know? Right? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, this thing can survive for, you're hearing anywhere between 3 to 10 days, depending on the climate. And it can survive, all over in certain places in different ways. And it can even survive in the air. So how would you know? But about 40% of you say the number one worry is your job. And I get that. And while they battle over how to get money this and what are we going to do, one thing's for sure, I don't agree much with what a lot of things Lindsey Graham says, but this was one of the things that he said that I said, I get that.
What people are looking for is stability in their lives in terms of income. I'm not going to give a check on top of a check. If I gave everybody here $1,000, what would you do with it right now? Don't you want to make sure your paycheck is coming?
And he's right. Giving somebody a check placates them for a month and may help them. But it will be temporary. What they want is stability in their lives. See the marketplace going up and down and the wild swings all day, and it's down 3,000 and it's up 1,200, then it's down 1,000, then there's no stability there. People want to know tomorrow. They want to earn their check, right? They don't want it given to them. While this is something that I think that we need to do, what they're looking for in a time like this is, if I can't go to work and I can't pay my bills, and even if I could go to work, you're telling me I can't go to work, then you need to tell my mortgage company and all of my lenders and all the lenders and the people I've borrowed money from that you can't expect me to pay my debt if I'm not allowed to earn. That's what people are looking for. Rather than to give the $1 trillion and hand it out in this way, I'd rather say, all right, here's what we're going to do. Give the money to these lenders so they keep their lights on. But in doing this, they're also going to have a situation where they're going to tell everybody that has borrowed money from them, whether it's a car loan, a student loan, a mortgage payment, and even, yes, go out to people that are, who rent apartments and who are landlords and whatnot, and say there's going to be a 90-day moratorium on this. So people are worried about being evicted. They're worried about whether or not the car's going to get repossessed. They're worried about a lot of things. Let the unemployment handle itself. If people are in short-term unemployment, give people short-term disability, if they, do the things that you need to do so they can at least survive. But having that in the back of their mind, well, I'm not going to get evicted tomorrow. I can go out and I don't have to worry about hiding my car right now. Not that I couldn't make the payments when I was working, because I did, but now I can't make the payments. I'm not going to have to worry that when all is said and done and I get out of this and my credit score drops a trillion points, and that's what people are looking for. Because if you're telling them they got to stay indoors, and you are, and this is the best way to defeat this at this moment in time, is for all of us to do the best we can to social distance, to stay as far away from each other as possible, and not to gather in groups of, 10 or more, and all of these things, which is, I get it. But people are looking for a certain amount of stability that they're not going to be able to get with that $1,000 check. Because if there's not a $1,000 check the next month, and for most of you out there, $1,000, if you're home or you're furloughed or you've had your hours cut where, you know what, instead of paying you for 40 hours, I can pay you for 10, and you're going to have to work from home 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm not going to have work for you outside, that's not going to cut it. That's the issue right now. So people are going to be looking at this saying to themselves, self, what do we do? What do we do? How do we get from point A to point B with as little disruption as far as people worrying about because the disruption's real. It's here. How do we make the landing soft for Americans where they can breathe a little bit? That's what they want. And how do you give Americans $1,000 and hope, what do you think, that you're going to jumpstart the economy? Hong Kong did this. So think about this. Hong Kong's gone through all of this coronavirus stuff. But before that, they had months of unrest, protest, and riots, curfews. They had a huge surplus and said, we're just going to give everybody like $1,000 or $1,500. But there was nowhere to spend the money. So you can't jumpstart an economy if people can't spend it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. I'll tell you guys something. I love my Raycons, and we're always looking for something, right? Like a lot of you, like I know my mother freaked out yesterday, and my aunt, because California has canceled school essentially for the rest of the year. And I told my aunt, laughing, I said, put on your Raycons and just do your best to listen to your music, breathe, and not hear them. And Raycons are incredible. I love my Raycons. I got into my room late last night, turned on my little streaming service there, flipped on Amazon, was watching a martial arts movie, put on my Raycons, and it was just great. Didn't hear anything, didn't hear any of the noise, tuned everything out. They're the best. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass. The E25s are incredible. And right now, you're out there thinking to yourself, man, I'm going to have some comforts. This is a comfort that you can afford because it's half the price of all the other earbuds out there. And it's so comfortable, and it's stylish, and it's great because sometimes you do need to drown out the noise. With all that savings, I'm going to save you 15% on top of that right now. How do you do it? You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. And when those kids are screaming and yelling and you put your Raycons in, it's like a whole new world of quietness. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
Dr. Fauci has said, the Surgeon General has said, we don't know, we can't tell right now how effective that'll be, but let's do it. We know it will be effective. We just don't have a sense of how effective, but let's do it.
Kellyanne Conway talking about sheltering in place, which is they're asking people to do that, social distancing, and you're seeing what's going on in New York and San Francisco and other major cities and metropolitan areas, whether it is, we were talking about it, it's shelter in place, but how enforceable is that? All right. Again, this comes with our freedoms, and we have a lot of things here that we, many of us probably have taken for granted. But we have certain freedoms, and, are you forcing me? Are you going to give me a citation? Are you coming over like they did in Kentucky to that guy's house, and you're going to stand out there with armed guards? I mean, what is this that you're doing? You're suggesting, but what kind of suggestion is it? And here's something else. We got on Trump, rightly so, for, I think, the way he acted. And remember, even yesterday, they asked him the question.
No, I've always viewed it as very serious. There was no difference yesterday from days before. I feel the tone is similar, but some people said it wasn't.
All right. Did you take it seriously? I thought at first he didn't take it that seriously. Wall Street Journal's reporting, and we've talked about this when it comes to the testing and some of the other stuff. When you go into, when you say we're declaring a state of emergency, that allows certain things to happen. But they're reporting that Trump has been pushing for testing and opening up certain marketplaces. And when it comes to testing drugs against the coronavirus, and the FDA saying no. Huge objections. That's the difference between us and a lot of other places. We have thrown up so many regulatory issues, which is there for our protection, but sometimes it's ridiculous. The testing part of it was ridiculous. He came out and said, we were saddled with so much red tape and things before that, and had nothing with the bomb. That's just bureaucracy. After bureaucracy after bureaucracy, and you have to do this, and you have to have that, and you have to be this, and that is the frustrating part. That's why when states take it upon themselves to declare a state of emergency, you're finding out that desperate times, desperate measures, and I guess at this moment in time, this is absolutely desperate, that they're able to circumvent things. I was looking at Italy yesterday. People who are in medical school, in the last year of medical school, or people who've passed, but they haven't passed their certificate, can come and work right now in the medical field. They need, it's all hands on deck at this point. Here, we're asking retired nurses and doctors, hey, this thing's getting bad. We're going to need you to come back if you could do that. And it's through all this crazy occupational licensing and a lot of things, just doing some of the most basic stuff is hard. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned a few things. New York, San Francisco, and them, everybody's shelter in place. Get ready for it. Biden is your nominee. Well, we kind of knew that yesterday before anything was even closed. It's just how this works itself out and how they go even about voting next November. Canada and outside of non-essential traffic, Canada and the U.S. are closing the borders. And that this thing isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But most importantly, I think what we learned today is people are scared of uncertainty, as we've talked about it. And the more and more that comes out about this, the uncertainty isn't so much whether or not you'll survive this. The uncertainty is whether or not you'll survive it financially. In a time where, thank you for the $1,000 and your stimulus package, but that only goes so far. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Let me tell you something, guys. Car Shield, in this day and age, you're going to need some protection for yourself. Even in the best of times, it's good to have something. This is even more important now. Car Shield has rates starting as low as $99 a month. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop is the shop that you choose, right? You pay a small deductible. Car Shield gets them paid directly. When you're looking to save money and you're looking to cut back in certain ways, that car is so something you depend upon. Without a warranty, could you imagine right now if you had a problem? Oh, goodness me. Car Shield is great. They'll take care of you. Again, rates as low as $99 a month. Call them up. Explain to them what you're looking for. They'll take care of you. 800-CAR-6000. When you do mention code Benson, saves you 10%. Or go to carshield.com and use that code Benson to save 10%. But I advise you to call them. Tell them what you're looking for. They'll take care of you. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Take our poll question. It'll be up throughout the day. What's got you most freaked out about this? Is it the economy? Is it you getting it, giving it to somebody else, or do you even have any worries? Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. Got you over the hump. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.